Hey y'all, it's been a minute. Plenty of shenanigans. Let's talk about the Big Ten and private investment. To commemorate the occasion, I'm sporting my Penn State shirt representing the Nittany Lions, who need some love right now, sitting at the bottom of the Big Ten, even behind Rutgers. Who thought that ever would have happened? Anyway, good luck. I hope the rest of the season ends up okay. Let's talk about what's happening with this potential private investment. So it's been talked about as a private equity deal for the Big Ten. That's not quite what it is. So it's proposed to be $2 billion investment from the University of California Pension Fund. So that is not private equity, but that is a private investment. And this pension fund currently holds about $100 billion in assets in total, and they're looking to make a $2 billion investment in Big Ten enterprises. So what they would get in exchange is a 10% stake in this entity, Big Ten Enterprises, that will house all of the league's media rights and sponsorship deals. It is supposed to be a passive investment, according to the publications and what we understand. And so the University of California Pension Fund will not actively participate in the management and leadership of Big Ten Enterprises, but they'll get the 10% stake for the $2 billion. Now, there's several interesting features. The most interesting of which may be that under this arrangement, the grant of rights would be for 21 years through 2046. Okay, now understand the Big Ten right now is in the middle of two current grant of rights situations. One with Fox that runs through 2036, and another $7 billion grant of rights that runs through 2030, and that's a media package with NBC and CBS. So it's already two out there, and they're going to throw another one in that runs for 21 years. Okay. So apparently, numerous schools need money, and they need it now. So apparently, there are soaring operational costs, stadium reconstruction and renovation debt, and revenue share to athletes that are pushing or putting pressure on athletic department budgets. So these schools apparently they need the cash now. Now, as you know, or you might have heard, USC and University of Michigan are not fans of this proposal. A couple of quotes. The University of Michigan Regent Mark Bernstein called it a payday loan. Okay, another regent, Jordan Acker, compared it to opening a new credit card to pay off debt. So, University of Michigan, not feeling it. Now, USC also opposes it for another reason that we'll talk about in a little bit. Now, keep in mind, the Big Ten has expanded for 4 times since 2011 to generate more revenue. Okay, it used to be only 10. Now it's 18 schools in the Big Ten. Now, it seems to me that college athletics has an underlying spending problem if you've got all these schools that are desperate for cash because of soaring operational cost, stadium construction and renovation debt, and trying to figure out how to deal with the rev share. Okay, so as I understand it, under the arrangement, this would send an average of $135 million to each of the league's schools. A one-time payment. Okay? So a school will get a one-time payment of $135 million-ish, and that's all they get for the next 20 years. I don't feel like a great deal to me, but I'll just keep talking. Okay. Now, I said an average. And so USC's problem is that it's not an equitable split. So it will not be, each school will not get 135 million. The payouts will range between 100 million and 190 million depending on the school. So USC is like, why would I take a lesser share? And that's their concern. So Michigan is like, payday loan, what are we doing? Y'all need to control your operational costs. USC is like, why would I take less money? I only get one payment anyway. Why am I going to take less of it on and not get a pro rata share? So those two schools are holding out. and the Big Ten is pressing them. As a matter of fact, the Big Ten now is indicating that they will close the deal without the University of Michigan or USC, which seems like a lot to me. Okay, so they're threatening the schools with a loss of capital. So if the schools don't participate, they don't get to participate in this average 135 million. Okay, and a potential revocation of membership in 2036 when the Fox grant of rights expires. So we're just going to pull your membership if you don't cooperate. All right. So the word on the street is that the Big Ten is voting on this on the 21st of November. So a couple weeks, not even a couple weeks, maybe a week or so away, about 10 days. Okay. Now, there's also word on the street that Michigan and USC, if they don't participate now, they could have a grace period where they could change their minds and opt in within 3 to 6 months. Apparently, that has not been fully codified in the deal, but that's also the word on the street. Now, Michigan trustees say this is a bailout for schools that haven't managed their money well. USC doesn't appreciate that Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, go Nittany Lions, would get the most money, and USC would get some amount that is not the most money. Okay. Now, what makes this even more intriguing and why I'm reaching for popcorn is because it appears that the boards of trustees for the member institutions are not involved. Not involved. They're being completely cut out of the discussion. So they have gotten no visibility to the investment plan. So imagine this. I'm sitting on the board of a Big Ten university. My school is about to sign a 21-year grant of rights for a one-time payment, and I don't know any of the deal terms. As a matter of fact, I'm not being consulted, and I will not be asked to vote on it on behalf of my institution, and the president or the chancellor can just sign it without me. So the boards are not happy. Okay. And they're so unhappy that they are actively opposing the deal through the American Council of Trustees and Alumni. And many of these board members sit on that as a part of that organization. So the board members are like, look, I don't know what's going on. How are you going to proceed on this kind of deal with this kind of financial implication? And I, as a board member, I'm given no information. My opinion is not sought and my vote is not required. Board members have fiduciary responsibilities, and it's not clear to me that they will be fulfilling their fiduciary obligations if they were not asked to participate at all. Okay, so this is going on so far that the American Council of Trustees and Alumni is now threatening litigation to force the university presidents to share details of the proposal. Okay, so I just got a couple things to think about here. Hasn't the Big Ten learned anything from the ACC? The ACC just got finished fighting over an over-lengthy grant of rights and an inequitable payment of revenue across the conference. And so the Big Ten is going to sign up for a 20-year grant of rights, given the fluidity of this environment, in exchange for a one-time payment? I need to know what y'all don't know what y'all know that makes that make sense to me. Okay. Now, I just really want to understand, second, what is the debt situation of some of these institutions that this deal makes sense? A one-time payment and a 21-year lock. What is the financial situation? Okay. 3, why would any university president agree to this without consultation and vetting with the board? Why doesn't the president think that he or she needs some cover for taking this kind of risk with a 21-year grant of rights for a one-time payment of around $135 million? Okay. I would really like to see what the return is anticipated for the pension fund for a 20-year investment? Because it's got to be a hell of a return to warrant this kind of investment for this length of time. So I would love to see the investment papers myself to understand what the deal terms is that makes this attractive to both the university with a one-time payment and the pension fund with a 20-year term. Okay. And finally, everybody can get fired if this goes south, but the Big Ten Conference is still stuck with it. The grant of rights doesn't expire just because you fire everybody because they entered into a bad deal. You can get rid of the commissioner of the Big Ten. You can fire all the university presidents. You can fire all the athletic directors. You still got a 20-year term. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I think it's messy and it's definitely got shenanigans. We'll see how it plays out. Let me know what you think.